All right, I guess it's about time for us to go live on Historical Journeys with Dale Blanshan. Glad to see you all under the circumstances, of course. We are, as the graphic says, the old folks at home in view of all the coronavirus quarantining and all that. It's a new situation for us. If you think that's a clever caption, how about this one here? Isn't that more accurate? We are all stuck at home for who knows how long, till things grind to a halt, I guess. But we are used to making the best of it with good old American ingenuity and a little help from China and Japan, I suppose. We have modern technology, technology that's best understood by teenagers, but we old folks will make a go of it here. There will be a recording of this available later if any of you are interested in seeing it again, or you know of other institutions that might be interested as well. But let's launch right in. Oh, I thought you might like to see where I'm coming from in this picture. I had to set up a corner of my wife's sewing room, but that's what it looks like to me with all of the equipment around there. I can do wonderful things like this with a green wall in back of me. I can put the state capitol there. Here we are at Pipestone, Minnesota, one of my favorite things, on top of the waterfall in the winter. But anyway, we should get on with what we are about to do, and that is to look at the program Old Ireland, Lilting Songs and Blarney Stones. I had hoped to get this one off before the end of the month because March, is the month of St. Patrick's Day. But under the circumstances, we can stretch out March a little bit longer. Everything else is stretching out longer. Ireland is a beautiful place. They call it the Emerald Isle. I love these old colorized pictures. Do you think they got that right? Do you think Ireland really is green like that? Well, being a skeptic, of course, I went and looked on a view from a satellite. See, it really is green. It's as green as can be. It's a land of ancient time. People have lived there for 10,000 years. This goes back to the feudal period when they built lots of castles. There would be a rich baron, the earl or of something, that would live and be surrounded by all his serfs who would do all the work. And in the middle there'd be a castle for defense. And everybody could run behind the walls and into the keep there for defense. And because of that, there are all these old ruins. That, judging by the top hat of the old gentleman in the boat, is a 150-year-old picture there. Here's a castle that was defended by water. Nobody's going to attack from that side. This one is really interesting. They really picked quite a spot there for the castle. There's only one place that you could attack it from land, and that would be heavily defended there. This is an example of the Trim Castle, which goes all the way back to the 1100s, over 800 years old. And you can see the walls are fairly intact. It'd be very hard to defend against that. But even if the attackers did get over the walls, they would find the keep. The keep was a fortress within a fortress, and built very, very strongly with walls 5 or 6 feet thick. That's why a lot of the other walls have fallen down, but the keeps are still standing. Here's a picture of what it might have been. Down on the bottom level is where you would bring in the supplies, and then the next floor would be where the soldiers would sit, and above that would be the cooking and working facilities. Then above that, the room for the lord and lady, a very nice bedroom, of course, and above that, a room for the ladies to sleep, and then with a stairway going up to the top where the soldiers could be up there with their bows and arrows and boiling oil ready to dump on the soldiers below. This is one of the most famous of the castles. This is the famous Blarney Castle. Blarney Castle is about 800 years old now, and look at the weathered walls of the castle, and a lot of it has fallen down, of course. When you look down from the keep on the top there, you can see these round towers. There's an artist's conception of what it probably looked like back in the days when those buildings were standing. This would be inside the walls, of course. But behind it, surviving it all because of its thick walls, is the keep, still standing after all of those years. Anyway, you can see the tourists are up there, way up in the air, about 90 feet up in the air, I think it is. They're all in some kind of line there. I mean, they're looking at something there in the far end of the picture, looking down at it. Wonder what it is they're looking at. Well, of course, the name Blarney should alert you to the fact that this is the location of the famous Blarney Stone. The Blarney Stone is that fabled stone of which, if you kiss it, you get the Irish gift of gab. You can sell refrigerators to Eskimos and convince her to fall in love with you, anything else you want to do. So people want to kiss the Blarney Stone. It isn't easy. See the old gentleman kneeling there? He's going to have to turn around, lie on his back, stretch his head back down, and kiss it. Kiss the stone on the far wall. Hang on tight. But actually, we're pretty lucky because they have moved the stone to an easier location. It used to be on the outside of the wall. So if you wanted to kiss the Blarney Stone, you had to find some friends that you trusted with your life, to dangle you upside down, and you could kiss the Blarney Stone. You had to really want the Irish gift of gab with that. Well, you know, poets and writers of epics have told the stories of the lands of days past. Shelves and shelves full of books have been written. But one of my favorite places where history has been preserved is in song. You know, when you take a photograph and you snap it, it freezes that moment in time in a picture. Well, a song can freeze a moment in time and provide perfectly good history, just like a camera or the writings of an author. So I thought it'd be fun to find some old Irish songs today. And to do that, we have to go back and find an authentic Irishman, of course. This one is Chauncey Olcott. He was actually born in America, but both of his parents were born in Ireland and came over to America. Here he is. He was a great vaudevillian and a stage personality. Here he is, dressed very dapperly there in his top hat with one of his co-stars. Here's some more of his co-stars. I think it would have been fun to see all those kids, wouldn't it? They look like quite the precocious little whippersnappers. They would have had to have been on the stage there. But Chauncey Olcott wrote the lyrics to, well, I guess he wrote the music too, to this song, My Wild Irish Rose. What had happened was he and his wife had gone back to Ireland to look it over. And while they're walking through a field, his wife bent down and picked up a little flower. And she asked an Irish lad nearby, "What's the name of this flower?" And the Irish lad said, "That's an wild Irish rose, Mum." And of course, Chauncey Olcott, being an enterprising songwriter, wrote the words and music to this song. Now, I know you know this song here. Let me get a guitar here, and you join me. Now, I know that nobody's looking at you if you're in your room. You can sing at the top of your voice. The ideal situation would be when you start singing, they came running after you to make sure everything was okay. Here we go. If you listen, I'll sing you a sweet little song of a flower that's now drooped and dead. Yeah, dearer to me, yes, than all of its mates, though each holds aloft its proud head. 'Twas given to me by a girl that I love. Since we've met, faith, I've known no repose. She is dearer by far than the world's brightest star, and I call her my wild Irish rose. Here's the part you know. My wild Irish rose, the sweetest flower that grows. You may search everywhere, but none can compare to my wild Irish rose. My wild Irish rose, the dearest flower that grows. And someday for my sake, she may let me take the bloom from my wild Irish rose. That's a great start. You know, there are two kinds of Irish songs. One of them is the American kind of Irish song, the popular music like Chauncey Olcott, and the other one are the ancient tunes that have survived from the Celtic days in Ireland. Here's a scene of mountains and the Irish landscape and some more. There's a famous old song called "Will You Go, Lassie Go." that talks about going for a walk in the mountains with summer coming and the heather is blooming. And if you go, you could gather wild mountain thyme. So this song is an invitation, probably one of those old tunes that have survived in Ireland for so long. Here it is. Oh, the summertime is coming, and the trees are sweetly blooming, and the wild mountain thyme grows around the bloomin' heather. Will you go, lassie, go? And we'll all go together to pluck wild mountain thyme. All around the bloomin' heather, will you go, lassie, go? I will build my love a bower near yon pure crystal fountain, and on it I will pile all the flowers of the mountain. Will you go, lassie, go? And we'll all go together to pluck wild mountain thyme. All around the bloomin' heather, will you go, lassie, go? If my true love, she were gone, I would surely find another, where the wild mountain thyme grows around the bloomin' heather. Will you go, lassie, go? And we'll all go together to pluck wild mountain thyme. All around the bloomin' heather, will you go, lassie, go? Such a beautiful tune. Now this is another one of those old songs. Down by the Sally Gardens. The Sally is a willow tree. So this would be a song. It's a young man who meets his fair maiden down under the willow trees. W.B. Yeats there was Ireland's favorite son poet. He wrote this poem you may have run across in your English literature class. I will arise now and go to Innisfree, in a small cabin built there of clay and wattles made. It was kind of Ireland's answer to Henry David Thoreau and his getting away from it all for a year at Walden Pond. Well, Yeats was way back in the 1800s. He heard an ancient Irish woman singing an old song, and he took the words to the song, kind of cleaned them up into modern music, and wrote this song from it. It's a sad song about a young man who was too impatient, and tragedy resulted from it. Down by the Sally Gardens, my love and I did meet. She passed the Sally Gardens with her little snow white feet. She bid me take love easy as the leaves grow on the trees. But I, being young and foolish, with her would not agree. In a field by the river, my love and I did stand, and on my leaning shoulder she laid her snow white hand. She bid me take life easy as the grass grows on the weirs. But I was young and foolish, and now am full of tears. A sad song. Now, I'm told that in Dublin, Ireland, there is this statue, a full-size statue of a young lady with her barrow. A barrow is just something with handles on it you can carry something in. If you put wheels on it, or two wheels, it's a wheelbarrow. This is a statue commemorating one of the most famous Irish songs, that of Molly Malone. Molly Malone, in the song, was a fishmonger. A fishmonger was somebody who'd go down to the wharf where the fishing boats would come in. Ireland being an island had lots of fishing. And she would buy fish and cockles and mussels and other seafood from the people that harvested them. And she would take them through the streets and she would shout her wares. She would say, "Cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh." Now, I don't know about you, but when I buy food from the grocery store, I would like it to be dead already. What's that alive, alive, oh business? Well, back in those days, of course, they didn't have refrigeration, so the only way to keep the meat fresh until you're ready to eat it was to keep it alive. Now, that the words that she would sing, alive, alive, oh, would be her trademark calling card. And people used to do that in the streets of the big cities like London and Dublin. And they have studied those things. You can find people who have studied those and found out how they created them. It would be hard to say the same thing over and over again without developing it into some kind of a jingle, some kind of sing-song thing. There's a gentleman over there with chickens in those ancient cages who would say, "Buy my fat chickens, buy my fat chickens." And the people would know, here comes the chicken man. Or over on the right, the young lady saying, "Rich, round and sound, 5 pence a pound." That would make it more fun if you had something that rhymed. Of course, not everybody would be happy that there was so much noise in the streets, like the poor musician in the window having to compete with all of that. But Molly's trademark was those words, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh. So that forms the basis for this famous song. If you know it, sing along with me. You'll know it by the time we get through with one verse. In Dublin's fair city, where the girls are so pretty, I first set my eyes on sweet Molly Malone, as she wheeled her wheelbarrow through streets broad and narrow, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. She was a fishmonger, sure 'twas no wonder, for so were her father and mother before, and they both wheeled their barrows through streets broad and narrow, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. She died of a fever, and no one could save her, and that was the end of sweet Molly Malone. What about the business? Now her ghost wheels her barrow through streets broad and narrow, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. Would you buy seafood from a ghost? I wonder how business was. Now this is a song, it's another one of those historical snapshots. It's a song about a time in history when, England was the bigger island, more population, next to the smaller island of Ireland. And because of that, the English were always coming over and taking over Ireland. And the Irish would eventually get up a rebellion and chase the British out. Then the British would be back and they'd have to go through it all again. Back in the late 1700s, one such of those times when the English were in charge. And of course, the Irish got up a rebellion. And the rebels identified themselves to each other by putting a sprig of shamrock in their hat. Shamrock, the green flower. And their hats were called cow beans. Of course, the British quickly got onto that, and they made a law that said anyone caught wearing the green, off with their heads. Well, this song is one that talks about two Irishmen meeting somewhere outside of Ireland. One had recently come from there, and the other one says, "How are things back home in the old sod?" And the gentleman says, "Oh, it's the most distressful country you've ever seen. They're hanging men and women for wearing of the green." Oh, Paddy dear, and did you hear the news that's going round? The shamrock is by law forbid to grow on Irish ground. No more St. Patrick's Day will keep, his colour can't be seen, for there's a cruel law against the wearing of the green. I met with Napper Tandy, and he took me by the hand, and he says, how's dear old Ireland, and how does she stand? She's the most distressful country that ever yet was seen, for they're hanging men and women there for wearing of the green. So if the colour we must wear be England's cruel red, let it remind us of the blood that Irishmen have shed. And take the shamrock from your hat and throw it on the sod, but never fear 'twill take root there, though underfoot 'tis trod. When laws can stop the blades of grass from growing as they grow, and when the leaves in summertime their colour dare not show, then I will change the colour too I wear in my caubeen. But till that day, please God, I'll stick to the wearing of the green. There's a little snapshot of Irish history. Here's another one. You know, there was a time in Ireland when they had the potato famines. Back in those old days when the land got divided up and the population grew into smaller and smaller chunks, until all that the poor Irishmen could grow would be crops that were big enough to feed their families, I presume, would be potatoes, which was fine and dandy until the potato blight struck. And the potatoes rotted in the grounds, and thousands upon thousands of Irish starved to death. There's a picture of some little hovel reenacted later when photography was there. Here's a picture of some Irish people being evicted from their little thatched roofed hut, which is not in great shape anyway, but what a sad thing. Some of them, of course, were able to scrape together enough money to go to make a new start in the new world of America. And, they would go over to Liverpool, England. And that was the staging area where they would take off. They would get on board one of these sailing ships, and they would sail across the ocean to America. And they would of course, they'd have to buy their tickets. Here's some of the tickets that they had. Take food along. In the old days, you had to feed yourself on board the boat. If you didn't take enough food along for the journey, you'd starve to death, I guess. And you had to huddle down in the hold. You know, if you were poor, you had to ride in steerage, not a fancy cabin all by yourself, but down where everybody was. And if there was a coronavirus around, you'd be sure to catch it, I guess. But anyway, because of that, Liverpool became a place where lots of Irish people said goodbye to the old world and went to the new. And here's an old song about leaving Liverpool. Farewell to Princess Landing Stage, River Mersey, fare thee well. I am bound for California, a place I know right well. So fare thee well, my own true love, and when I return, united we will be. It's not the leaving of Liverpool that's grieving me, but my darling, when I think of thee. Oh, the sun is on the harbor, love, and I wish I could remain. I know it will be a long, long time till I see you again. So fare thee well, my own true love, and when I return, united we will be. It's not the leaving of Liverpool that's grieving me, but my darling, when I think of thee. I imagine there were many of those sad partings, saying goodbye when you knew you might not ever see that person again. Well, when they did come to America, they'd get off at Ellis Island or Castle Gardens before that, or some port in America, and all their belongings would be in one bag or one satchel. But it was exciting because they were going to a new life. And they would go to New York or Boston. That's why so many Irish names you find in Boston and New York or the big cities. And they would work and bend their strong backs to labor, whatever they could find there. But the sad thing was, they were not well liked by people in America. There's a picture. That's not very complimentary, is it? They talked funny and they acted funny and they dressed funny and they took away jobs from the Americans, so they just were not liked in many places. And so you would have a situation where some young Irishman would get off the boat ready to go to work and earn his living and start his estate in a brand new country, only to go to a store where there was a job and he would find a sign like this on the wall: "No Irish need apply." And that's a real sign, and that really did happen in a lot of cases. Well, there's a song about a young Irishman who, when he found such a sign, he took matters into his own hand. There we are. I'm a decent boy just landed from the town of Ballyfan. I want a situation, yes, I want it very bad. I have seen employment advertised, it's just the thing, says I. But the dirty spell P&M, and with no Irish need apply. Whoa, says I, but that's an insult, but to get the place I'll try. So I went to see the blackguard with his no Irish need apply. Some do count it a misfortune to be Chris and Pat or Dan, but to me it is an honor to be born an Irishman. I started out to find the house, I got it mighty soon. I found the old chap seated, he was reading the Tribune. I told him what I came for, and he in a rage did fly. No, he says, you are a Paddy, and no Irish need apply. Well, I gets me dander rising, I'd like to black his eye, to tell an Irish gentleman no Irish need apply. Some do count it a misfortune to be Chris and Pat or Dan, but to me it is an honor to be born an Irishman. I couldn't stand it longer, so a hold of him I took, and gave him such a welting as he'd get in Donnybrook. He hollered Millia Murther, and to get away did try, and swore he'd never write again, no Irish need apply. Well, he made a big apology, I told him then goodbye, saying when next you want a beating, right, no Irish need apply. Some do count it a misfortune to be Chris and Pat or Dan, but to me it is an honor to be born an Irishman. Well, he took care of that difficulty, didn't he? Here's a picture of an Irish town. And I believe it is at Killarney, if judging by the bar over there. The Irish pub, of course, was another one of those fabled places. It wasn't just a place to go and drink too much. It was a social agency. You would go there and you would find your friends, and you could sing, and you could court, and you could do whatever you wanted to there. And of course, it did become a place. I don't think the Irishmen are really noted for being teetotalers. I suspect they spent a lot of time in the old days, especially in those pubs. Well, one of the most famous Irish songs is this one about a young man who spent too much time and lost all of his money in the Irish pubs. But he went away, came to his senses, and put his nose to the grindstone and came back home to Ireland with a whole pocket full of gold. And he went to the bar, the pub where he'd been before, and he asked the lady there if he could have another drink on credit, and she remembered it from his old days. She said, well, I can get customers like you any day. No. And then he showed her that now he had a pocket full of gold, and suddenly she said, oh, I was only kidding, of course. Anyway, he left the pub and was going home to his family and began a new life of frugality and teetotaling. Here we are. I've been a wild rover for many's the year. I've spent all my money on whiskey and beer, but now I'm returning with gold in great store, and I never will be a wild rover no more. And it's no, never, 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 never no more. Never, never again will I be a wild rover no more. I'll go home to my family, tell them what I've done. I hope they will pardon their prodigal son. And if they will do as so often before, I never will be a wild rover no more. And it's no, never, 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 never will rover no more. Well, good for him. That's a good result. Now, I would guess that quite a few of you, at least a couple of times in your life, went to sleep in your nap time as a young person with your mother humming the song Tooraloo-ra-loo-ra, the Irish lullaby. You know, and a lullaby is something that has to be crooned. And of course, in America, the song was introduced by the most famous crooner of them all, Bing Crosby. He had this mellow voice, low and soothing, just perfect for putting babies to sleep. Well, it's another one of those songs about, you know, there are more Irishmen that live outside of Ireland than live in Ireland because of all those immigrations. And so one of the most common themes in Irish songs is thinking back to the days when you were there in the old sod and your mother was humming something like Tooraloo-ra-loo-ra. Over in Killarney, many years ago, my mother sang a song to me in tones so sweet and low. Just a simple little ditty in her good old Irish way, and I'd give the world if she could sing that song to me this day. Tooraloo-ra-loo-ra, tooraloo-ra-lie, tooraloo-ra-loo-ra, hush now don't you cry. Tooraloo-ra-loo-ra, tooraloo-ra-lie, tooraloo-ra-loo-ra, that's an Irish lullaby. Oft in dreams I wander to that cot again. I feel her arms a-hugging me as when she held me then, and I hear her voice a-humming to me as in days of yore, when she used to rock me fast asleep outside the cabin door. Tooraloo-ra-loo-ra, tooraloo-ra-lie, tooraloo-ra-loo-ra, hush now don't you cry. Tooraloo-ra-loo-ra, tooraloo-ra-lie, tooraloo-ra-loo-ra, that's an Irish lullaby. What a pretty little song. Now here's another place in Ireland, Tralee. Tralee is a valley. And it's just one of those hundreds, if not thousands, of valleys that dot the landscape of Ireland. But it became famous over 100 years ago when John McCormick sang this song. John McCormick was an Irish tenor. Apparently in Ireland, all they have is tenors. You never hear of an Irish soprano or alto or bass. It's always Irish tenors. But anyway, John McCormick was a famous Irish tenor, and he sang this song about the Valley of Tralee and the rose that lived there, his sweetheart. You know, you never go wrong calling your sweetheart by a flower name, something fresh and beautiful. And in this case, it was a rose. And because of this song, the Valley of Tralee has become very, very famous. Don't you love those old pictures? So famous that every year they have a beauty pageant. You know, in Miss America, in America, they have the Miss America contest, where they have Miss California, Miss New York, and Miss Minnesota, and Miss Iowa all come together to figure which Miss was going to be the best Miss of all, Miss America. And over in Tralee, they have a similar contest, only they don't have misses, they have roses. They have the Rose of Dublin, the Rose of Belfast. Anywhere there's a concentration of Irish people, they have a rose. The Rose of London, the Rose of Chicago, the Rose of New York. They even have a Tokyo rose, not the same one. And the roses all come together to find out who's the best rose of all that year, the Rose of Tralee. But it's not just a beauty contest, even though they're all beautiful red-cheeked Irish lasses, because the song says, "'Was not her beauty alone that won me. Oh no, 'twas the truth in her eyes ever beaming that made me love Mary, the Rose of Tralee." So besides being pretty, you have to be witty and charming. They interview you. And I suppose when they finally crown the Rose of Tralee, somebody sings this wonderful song in the background. The pale moon was rising above the green mountain. The The sun was declining beneath the blue sea when I strayed with my love to the pure crystal fountain that stands in the beautiful vale of Tralee. She was lovely and fair like the rose of the summer, yet 'twas not her beauty alone that won me. Oh no, 'twas the truth in her eyes ever beaming that made me love Mary, the Rose of Tralee. The cool shades of evening their mantle were spreading, and Mary, all smiling, was listening to me. The moon through the valley her pale rays was shedding when I won the heart of the Rose of Tralee. She was lovely and fair like the rose of the summer, yet 'twas not her beauty alone that won me. Oh no, 'twas the truth in her eyes ever beaming that made me love Mary, the Rose of Tralee. What a pretty song. Another famous venue is Tipperary. That's a good old Irish name, isn't it? There's a picture from 100 years ago, colorized. A little Irish village in the mountains far away where strong hands toil to till the soil and heart's content holds sway. Well, Tipperary similarly became famous because of a song. It's the famous Long Way to Tipperary. Now, this is a song that was sung by both the soldiers in both World War I and World War II, the Irish soldiers in the Commonwealth armies of Great Britain. And, it's not a military song. It's a song about a young man who goes to London to seek his fortune. While he's there, he writes songs back to his sweetheart, Molly, back in Tipperary. Kind of funny songs if you listen to them. But those soldiers in the World Wars thought, in the jungles of Borneo or the deserts of Saharan Africa, thought the song expressed very well what they were thinking. It was a long way back home to Tipperary. Here's the song. Up to mighty London came an Irish lad one day. All the streets were paved with gold, so everyone was gay, singing songs of Piccadilly, Strand and Leicester Square, till Paddy got excited and he shouted to them there. Here's the part you know. It's a long way to Tipperary, it's a long way to go. It's a long way to Tipperary, to the sweetest girl I know. Goodbye Piccadilly, farewell Leicester Square. It's a long, long way to Tipperary, but my heart's right there. Paddy wrote a letter to his Irish Molly, saying, should you not receive it, write and let me know. If I make mistakes in spelling, Molly dear, said he, remember it's the pen that's bad, don't lay the blame on me. It's a long way to Tipperary, it's a long way to go. It's a long way to Tipperary, to the sweetest girl I know. Goodbye Piccadilly, farewell Leicester Square. It's a long, long way to Tipperary, but my heart's right there. Molly wrote a neat reply to Irish Paddy, saying Mike Maloney wants to marry me, and so leave the Strand and Piccadilly or you'll be to blame, for love has drove me fairly silly. Hoping you're the same. It's a long way to Tipperary, it's a long way to go. It's a long way to Tipperary, to the sweetest girl I know. Goodbye Piccadilly, farewell Leicester Square. It's a long, long way to Tipperary, but my heart's right there. Love has drove me fairly silly, hoping you're the same. Well, here's another one of those songs about Irish people that go far away. This young man has brought his sweetheart to America or one of those places, and she, in spite of her best intentions, can only think of being home, so he sings this song to her. I'll take you home again, Kathleen, across the ocean wild and wide, to where your heart has ever been, Since you were first my bonny bride, the roses all have left your cheek. I've watched them fade away and die. Your voice is sad whene'er you speak, and tears bedim your loving eye. Oh, I will take you back, Kathleen, to where your heart will feel no pain. And when the fields are fresh and green, I will take you to your home again. Well, we are running out of time. In spite of my best intentions, we always run over time. But I have to get in two more songs, especially this one. This is one of my all-time favorite songs, Danny Boy. It's written to one of those ancient tunes, probably a Celtic tune from 500 years ago, called Londonderry Air. But this version was written, the words were written by an English lawyer named Fred Weatherly. And he writes this very, very sad song about a parting between a young man and his sweetheart as he goes off to war. Oh, how many songs have been written about that? Because it's always a poignant thing, because when the young man goes off to war, you don't know for sure that he's coming back. But this is especially sad because she is very ill. And they both know that by the time he gets back, if he gets back, she will likely be in her grave. But she says, if you'll just come and find the place where they've laid me and kneel and say an Ave, I'll sleep peacefully until you come to me. Here's the famous Londonderry Air, Danny Boy. Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's gone and all the roses falling. 'Tis you must go and I must bide. But come ye back when summer's in the meadow, or when the valley's hushed and white with snow. Yes, I'll be there in sunshine or in shadow. Oh, Danny boy, I love you so. And when you come and all the flowers are dying, if I am gone, as gone I will maybe, you'll come and find the place where I am lying, and kneel and say an Ave there for me. But come ye back when summer's in the meadow, or when the valley's hushed and white with snow. Yes, I'll be there in sunshine or in shadow. Oh, Danny boy, I love you so. And I shall hear, though soft you tread above me, and all my grave will warmer, sweeter be. If you will bend and tell me that you love me, then I will sleep in peace until you come to me. But come ye back when summer's in the meadow, or when the valley's hushed and white with snow. Yes, I'll be there in sunshine or in shadow. Oh, Danny boy, I love you so. Isn't that a beautiful and sad song? One more song today, and to do that we have to go back to where we started, to Chauncey Olcott. He helped to write one of the most famous Irish songs, and a song that kind of catches, I think, the spirit of the Irish lasses, at least, when Irish eyes are smiling. It's a song about how all those Irish lasses have a twinkle in their eye, don't they? In song they do, anyway. Anyway, this is a song about a young man who finds his sweetheart not with a twinkle in her eye, but with a tear. And he says, "What's wrong? You always have a smile," and begs her to put back on her face that beautiful smile. Here once again, the lilt of Irish laughter. We'll finish up with this song today. I know you know at least the chorus on this song. So finish up in style with Irish Eyes Are Smiling. Here we go. There's a tear in your eye, and I'm wondering why, for it never should be there at all. With such power in your smile, sure a stone you'd beguile, so there's never a teardrop should fall. When your sweet lilting laughter's like some fairy song, and your eyes twinkle bright as can be, you should laugh all the while and all other times smile. So now smile, smile for me. Sing and smile now. When Irish eyes are smiling, sure 'tis like a morning spring. In the lilt of Irish laughter, you can hear the angels sing. When Irish hearts are happy, all the world seems bright and gay. And when Irish eyes are smiling, sure they steal your heart away. What a great song. Well, our time is up, and it's time to say goodbye. But there'll be more programs coming, Lord willing. We'll repeat this song again live Monday at 2 o'clock. But on Wednesday, there'll be a new program. I'm hoping to have a program entitled Easter and the Holy Land. Made a trip to Israel last year, and it was wonderful. And of course, the Easter celebration that's coming up reminds us of the life of Jesus Christ in the Holy Land. So we'll go back and visit some of those places that Jesus would have seen back in Israel. So tune in for that. We'll do that live on Wednesday, Friday, and the following Monday at 2 o'clock. Also hoping by next Wednesday morning to have some sing-alongs, simple sing-alongs for our folks in the memory care units and the nursing homes and whoever else wants to join in, singing some of the old songs that have been such a part of America's musical heritage for so long. So with that, I'll say goodbye, and we'll see you next time.